Hey, this is Dr. Tang with whatsyourobsession.com, and today we're checking out the Pop Culture Shock Judge Death Sentence exclusive statue. Now, taking a quick look over the packaging here, you can see that everything is well laid out, but what you can't see there is there's a ton of padding on every single small part. They actually double layer some foam and some other things to on the arms and the legs. Now that you're looking at the statue, you can see why. They're very frail parts. This guy's an undead judge. He's a skeleton. So, it makes sense that everything is very thin, but it also puts that at risk of breakage. Really glad they went with that because I had no problems with my piece. Now, it comes in a few separate parts. It comes in the base, the main figure itself, and then the switch out parts, which if you got this particular version, or were planning to, is a switch out more menacing head, which you will see later in the review, and another two hands, like right hands. One is impaling a gang member, and that one looks really brutal. There's just blood. It's coming out of the neck and some of the top of the head area. And there's the impaled judge helmet, which looks fantastic. Now, my preferred method for display of this one is with the judge helmet. I felt that one looked the best by far, and then with the menacing head on top of that, which is something I filmed a little later on, so you'll see. There's also the separate gargoyle type, not gargoyle, but the shoulder piece, the dragon rather, that you see on the other side that snaps in via magnets, and the arms also snap in via magnets. I felt the grip on them was great, no problems there. Now, for those that aren't familiar, Judge Death is part of the Judge Dredd universe, and he had this fantastic line in the comics, which I think was something like, the crime is life and the punishment is death, or the sentence is death. And you very rarely see merchandise from certain aspects of the Judge Dredd comics, especially Judge Death, who, while a memorable villain, was often off in side stories versus Anderson and so on like that. So when I saw this, especially when I saw it was going to be limited to 125 and it had these badass switch out options, really had to grab it, and I'm very happy with how it came out. The base looks very nice, particularly like the Sydney Death tombstone they've got there, and if you actually look at the base and turn it around, it might seem a little simple at first, just with the kind of skulls here and there. If you turn it around, I really like how it looks like it's just built off of a base of skulls. There's just all these skulls lying under the surface, which you don't even notice from the front. And I like when statues pay attention to detail and even give you some nice stuff around the back so you can kind of experience a good 360. That's why I try and turn the statues around during the review so you can see all the detail. Now, one thing I did during the review is I feel he displays best by far from an angle where you're looking down on this statue. So I took some video and photos. If you go to my website, whatsyourobsession.com, and check the text review and photo review. So you can see it from an angle looking up at him, eye level, and then looking down. This is one of those statues where I feel it looks so much better looking down that I would move around my display to make him, at that angle. Now back to the statue itself. You can see the base there, what I was talking about with the skulls underneath, which is fantastic. The shading and the colors are so bright and vibrant. And there's big differences in the finishes as well. If you look at the judge helmet, it has more of a matte finish, and his hands and his kind of skin are only a slight bit shiny. Whereas if you look at his suit, it's got this deep metallic blue on it. And the bones, for example, are very matte, and the different finishes really lend an interesting look to the piece. All the detail work seemed really nice. I did not notice any issues. They've got a ton of fabric folds. The things like the helmet and the other head are really nicely detailed. The dragon has just very nicely defined lines. And there's a lot of different texture work in terms of the ground, gravestone, how the suit stretches out over certain parts of the body, and you can tell there's a skeleton underneath, just this rotted body. There's really a lot to like about this piece. It's just visually interesting. Now, I think it'll be pretty difficult to pick up since it was limited to 125, and I think the regular was something like 250, though it is a bit of a niche audience. If you're a Judge Dredd fan, this is definitely going to be one of the better collectibles you can get. And I don't know, I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with it. This is one that came out looking just as nice as all the prototype photos. It's a very cool pose, very cool sculpt, nice paint detail. Overall, I'd say it's worth it. Hope you guys enjoyed the review.